Hello, thanks for watching. This is Mitch Gingrich, ISP President. We're here today to talk about the super cool, thrilling, awesome thing today. We are going to talk about Solarized. What is Solarized? Well, you are looking at it right now and may not even realize it. Solarized is what we call our design. It was invented by a guy named Ethan Schonover. Hopefully I'm not slaughtering his name too much. And it's designed specifically to reduce eye strain and be easy to read. I want to show you an example of something real quick. This is what most software applications look like. This is Microsoft Word, basic black text on black text on white background. It's terrible. This is Facebook. Facebook has the nice blue all around, but right there where the actual post is, it's a black font on a white background. This is actually copied directly off of someone else's Facebook post, but I won't say who it was. So this is what most applications look like. It's not good, and if you stare at this for a while, it's really going to bug you and hurt your eyes. I know, having gone to college and grad school, spent enough time in Microsoft Word that I'm very familiar with eye strain and eye fatigue and the annoyingness that's caused by that. So now look at our system. This is a little prettier. It's kind of toned down. When I look at it, it kind of reminds me of a nice book. But this is what an application should look like. That's a place you can spend some time. That's an application where developers are thinking about you as a person instead of how to make it possible to perform certain functions. Most of the time developers are just thinking, oh, how do we make it possible for them to add a transaction? They're not thinking about, well, what would the person entering that want to look at? How would they want to see it? What order would they want to go in? What would they want to do when they do it? What's most natural for that person? How are they feeling? Do they have to squint to see this? There's a lot of usability studies out there and guidelines, and they're doing a fairly decent job, but people aren't going far enough, and especially not in the political campaign software industry. People are not going far enough to make good, usable software that's easy on you as a person. And that's why ISP is very different from everyone else, especially in this industry. We know that you're a human being. Imagine that. Now, before we get into exactly what Solarized is, I want to explain why we have it. It's a really, really big deal, guys. So I'll explain why we went to such great lengths to give you this. The point of Solarized is to make you have less eye strain. It's pretty simple, and consequently less of all the symptoms associated with it, like sore, tired, burning, or itchy eyes, watery or dry eyes. I wonder if those ever balance out and a person just stays fine. Headaches. Yes, and by the way, we are literally trying to save you from headaches. Sore neck, shoulders, and back. Increased sensitivity to light. That's a good one. How many times have you walked outside after working long hours on a computer? You get blinded, and it's cloudy out. It's not even bright out, and you go out the door, and your eyes just hurt. Yeah, I've noticed that one a lot. It's difficulty concentrating is a huge one. You're sitting at your computer for 20 minutes and reading Facebook, right? And then all of a sudden, your eyes start feeling a little tired, a little weird, and you start to get tired. That's eye strain. It's not just, you're tired. That's eye strain. And then feeling like you can't open your eyes. Now, these are all symptoms from the Mayo Clinic. I didn't make these up. These are what they said. A lot of what you experience on a daily basis after looking at your stupid computer is eye strain or related to it. And we're not going to be able to cure all the problems with that, but we're trying very hard to help with it. So all this stuff sounds really bad, right? And most doctors apparently think that eye strain sets in around 20 minutes. That's kind of nuts. Think about it. You haven't even finished checking your Facebook account by the time 20 minutes on the computer has passed. That's bad. You're going through an Excel chart or something like that. You're looking at a long time. And if you're a political treasurer, a fundraiser, a volunteer manager, somebody's working with data inside the campaign database, you're going to be in the system a long time. 8 hours is, I mean, totally average, reasonable time for people to be in there. So we're trying real hard. We know this is important to make it as usable as possible. The other thing is, it can take days for eye strain to go away. I mean, think about how irritating that can be when your eyes get so strained and it feels like they're pushing in on you. It take days to go away. So these symptoms, even if your eye strain is going away, they're still bugging you while it's happening, and they're going to affect the rest of your life too. So you don't want to you'll literally be taking your work home with you, at least the bad parts, if you're operating on a poor system. Okay, so that's annoying, but here's what I haven't said yet. It also costs you time. Who in a campaign in this day and age even has a second to spare for a headache? I mean, nobody. Time is what you need the most. So if you can reduce eye strain, you can save time. Also, who wouldn't love to put their Advil budget to a little bit better use? Less headaches, you can spend that Advil money on buying a Super Bowl commercial or something. Okay, obviously I'm just joking. But eye strain is serious. If you're rubbing your eyes, if you're rubbing your temples, if you're rubbing your shoulders, then you're not working. Not only do you not feel like working, but you have to take a second to get your eyes focused properly. This is a big deal. That's not even considering the effects of lack of concentration. If you're a treasurer, you can't afford to enter the wrong transaction type. You can't afford to add the wrong budget category or get a contribution amount wrong. If you can't focus, you probably won't even see the error when you do it. So you'll go on and do something else. You have no idea you made the error. Then, you may spend hours searching for why your compliance report is off, why your ending cash doesn't look right. It can really cost you. And, nobody's really looking back and going, oh, this is because I was tired from eye strain. Nobody thinks that. But we do. Okay, so, but nobody else, aside from ISP, is acting like this is a huge deal. But eye strain is a huge, mega important deal. And we're the only ones in the software world, aside from, a few other guys, especially the guy who designed it, Ethan Schonover, but he did it for coders on the back end. He didn't do it in application for public use. So nobody's really treating it like that, and especially not in the political campaign software industry. We're the only ones doing this. Reducing eye strain any way we can because of all these deleterious effects. I mean, they're bad. It's one of the biggest ways we can speed up campaigners, treasurers, candidates, everybody, make them more accurate, more effective, and in less time. And that's something you can only get from us because we're the only ones doing it, at least in this industry. Okay, so, all right, I've been talking about this for a long time, why it's good, why eye strain is bad. So what is Solarized? Here's the meat. I don't want to get too complex. It is a pretty complex design, and, it's not like you can just throw it together real quick, but it is pretty easy to understand at the base. So here's the gist. It's all about contrast, for the most part. Most developers think that the highest level of contrast is the best because the eye can see it the easiest. But, let's look at this again, right? So you've got this here. That's pretty easy to see, and it's not bad. Words actually come a long ways. They've kind of softened up their black a lot, but that's not really the easiest to see, and especially if you get down here to a normal size text. I made this I made this 16 points, so that's really big. This right here is 10.5, so that's where it comes from. This is what you'd see on Facebook. That's the average. Now, if you go over and take a look at our system, you've got what would be much less contrast, but it's easier to read. So it turns out that too much contrast hurts your eyes. So that black text on white font is bad for us. Some developers knew this, and they started getting away from it, and they started using light gray font on lighter gray or like off-white backgrounds. And that's also a problem because there's too little contrast. So we have to squint our eyes to make out the text. That's a big problem. So this is the point of Solarized, and what Ethan Schonover, this is the guy who designed it, did that was so awesome. He found just the right balance. So just the right balance and the contrast that we need. So the colors we use have precise C-lab lightness relationships. They have a refined set of hues based on fixed color wheel relationships, and they've been tested extensively in real-world use on calibrated and uncalibrated displays. So we know that they are the right colors. And you can't just mix and match these colors willy-nilly. You have to establish perfect relationships between the colors used in here. So you can't just use one color on any background and so on and so forth. They're just not combinable like this. You have to get the right balance, and we have to test it all the time. And these are used all over ISP. You may see, for instance, here, our red, this isn't the typical red you would see in a normal system. This is a softer red, and it looks, you may notice the difference. Same with the X here. These are softer reds, but the reason we did that, the reason it's that softer color is because that is a solarized color. Same goes for we can do it right here, add a transaction. So, we've solarized this, the labels here, those are solarized right now, but say we go to monetary contributions. This isn't the normal green you would see right here. This is a solarized green. So we still get the function, we're telling you it's a contribution because it's a green, but you're also getting the solarized effect of the reduced eye strain. It's very easy for you to read. So sorry, back to Solarized. The analogy that Ethan uses for what Solarized is that your application should look like the text of a book read outside on a sunny day, but when you're sitting in the shade. So you don't want that super bright pounding sun on it, but you want that kind of book feel. And e-readers are doing this a lot too. We've all seen the Nook and the Kindle, the ink reader ones, I think is what they're called. They have this great contrast balance that's very comfortable to read. And so that's essentially the same principle we're going for here. And anything beyond that level of contrast is subpar, either up or down from it. So, when we did this, we took it even beyond just the color scheme, though, and we tested a variety of fonts to ensure optimal readability. We don't want to divulge the types of fonts we used and, what characteristics they have, because people will copy us. They're going to eventually, or at least they should. If they don't, they've got some problems. But let's just say we were very, very careful, and we chose very specific fonts for very specific reasons. Beyond that, we also applied our color intelligently. It's more, it's important to incorporate function into design. So you'll notice inside ISP that reference type information is slightly less dramatic or noticeable. Still extremely easy to read, but it's not as obvious. Your eye won't catch it as quickly. Your eye's going to go straight to the meat, to the core pieces that you want to look at. So we've done those kinds of things where we've optimized it for to get the function of the color. We've made it just perfect in every area. With the exception of just a few areas, ISP's entire system is solarized and designed to attempt to reduce eye strain, to prevent it. Hopefully we're going to kick as much out of it as we can. We're doing our best to get rid of it. And the areas that aren't solarized, we're working in a way to solarize them. There are just a few places where we thought potentially solarizing could hinder or cause more cognitive friction in your usage. So it would take you a little bit of time to understand what you were supposed to do in that area, and in that time you'd have to think, you get out of your rhythm, and that would slow you down. So we're not in the business of slowing you down, we're in the business of speeding you up. So we're working on ways to figure out how to do that. Just a couple places we haven't figured it out yet. We are still working on it though. Now we don't know for sure that using ISP will prevent eye strain, but that's what Solarized is all about. We think it will certainly help prevent it. It's just not a prevent all cure or a magic elixir or anything. So you still need to, not just stare at a screen for too long. Solarize, regardless, Solarize is just one of the many, many, many examples of just how far ISP is going to make an awesome, outstanding, optimized system for human beings to use. We are never, ever going to stop improving the system. And if we are doing this much research into the colors, into things like eye strain, that are very human, attributes, then imagine the other things we're doing on the back end, with the way the workflow goes, we are trying our hardest to make this the most awesome application out there, period. Not just in our industry. We want to be flat out awesome for any industry. You know, it's a process. It takes some time, but we are going to get better and better, and we listen very hard to our customers. So we are confident that we're going to do it. Okay, so that's a good explanation of Solarized. I've probably taken up enough of your time. You may be bored. You may be having a lot of fun listening to my funny voice. Anyways, guys, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. We appreciate you considering ISP, using ISP, watching ISP videos. Hey, whatever you're doing, we appreciate it. If you have any questions, please feel absolutely free to give us an email at support@ispolitical.com. That's SUPPORT at ISPOLITICAL.com, or just give us a call at 800-926-0062. Alright guys, I hope you have a great day and come use ISP. Bye bye.